The door is closed. The bed is still cold from the broken window, and not too inviting, but it... The fan stands still. The lights are on. The switch must be broken, because nothing happens. The air in the room is starting to feel like vaporized urine. The bed is still cold from the... The window stands broken in its frame. Cold wind. You see a heavy steel door with a prominent... The door does not budge. The cobalt blue surface feels rough to touch. The stainless steel door is flush with its frame on every side. Old cobalt paint, rough on the fingers. 40, 50, it leads to a side building, adjacent to this one. The old building next to this, half ruined. Whatever is behind it must be older. Behind the dockworkers, a ceiling-height window. The hawthorn branches scrape the glass like bony fingers. Nothing, just black tangles like the hair of an old woman, motionless. The wind in the yard doesn't reach the hawthorn, nor does the light come in from this window.
Trying to sneak up on me again? Trying to snuff me out? Get away, pig!
A plaster cast bust depicts a middle-aged man with impressive sideburns. The name on the plinth reads Kraz Marzov.
He was definitely controversial. The tenant here seems to like him. There aren't many communists around, not after the revolution. Some youth still keep the ideology going, it seems.
What happened here? It will still be accessible through the apartment next to it. That one didn't have a door. Sadly, nothing of great value remains here. Indeed.
Yes?
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? What would you like to know? Officer, I assure you I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Her nonchalance might be related to something called the Wayfarer Act, a law that says she doesn't need a license. Sly Fox, you're not aggressive enough to harass her further on this.
Good. What we do?
There was a touch of discomfort there. She nods.
Of course. The scabs? You mean the huddled masses of Jamrock come to plead for work where the Union refuses to?
Don't let her answer it herself.
If these strikebreakers were organized by Wild Pines or its affiliates, then it would be a company secret. I could not share it with you. Not yet, at least.
It's implied. She's open to discussing this matter with you at a later occasion.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can... Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt. I imagine he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood.
If you were to prick him with something sharp, you could see it oozing out. A knife, maybe? No, a rapier.
He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar. Have you seen him? Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues. Of course. I'm glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore, or coming to work. Ever. End of story.
This forewoman, her name?
Indeed. The company suspects foul play, but there's nothing they could do. It was a Union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around the Clares. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
Of course. How else can I help? I'm afraid I can't say any more until we've taken care of formal protocol.
Feelings will guide the way.
I assure you, it is no small matter for me either. We all share the responsibility for disarming this situation. I hope you have a badge for me as soon as possible. Trust me, officer, I am fully committed to resolving this impasse. This isn't some side gig for me.
She's silent. The wind flaps the sail above her.
Officer. You know, I don't mean to sound cold, but if you want something, you have to give something back. More than just guilt.
You're doing it. Despite your own best efforts, you're still getting in. Somehow.
I'll be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something tangible. The Union is conducting drug trade out of the harbor. It's an open secret in Martinez. Surely it must not come as a complete surprise to the RCM either. Perhaps it's time to look into it. Or you can find your badge, which honestly seems like a lost cause.
Detective, a word in private before we continue. This is not going quite as I hoped it would, Detective. Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance, and not volunteer us to be her henchmen. This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser. Either way, we've played straight into her hands.
Maybe this is all her plan. She might have heard about you.
Oh, that would be fantastic, but do we have the time? The world is large and your badge is 8 by 6 centimeters.
The situation might have changed drastically by the time you locate it. Time is of the essence.
You could request a new one from your station, but that would literally take months. I wouldn't go that far. Her reaction did come off as sincere to me. I think she's just quick to adapt. She's a professional, after all. No. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we are siding with the Union, or that we are on their take. We'd never hear the end of it. What I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate, briefly. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done and demand for her information on the lynching.
The lights are so pretty when it gets dark. Oh, that's Auntie Billy. She's nice if a bit distressed. No, sir. She's a working woman who comes to look at the books a lot. I think she is a bad husband. Not very nice or helpful. No, sir, I can't. It would be too tiring to refrain from it. It's already tiring enough to remember to say it all the time. It's nice of you to say I could stop, though. That's a friendly enough face, most of the time.
Excuse me? I don't know. The most talkative one? The what now? You truly are one strange cop, aren't you? I have a strange cop offering to find my stupid husband. What a day. Right. What about him?
She gives you a short nod before returning to her books.
Oh, hello, dear. There you are again.
You know, to hell with it. Let's have more cryptids.
Of course, officers. Is there a particular cryptid you two are interested in learning about?
Hey, you promised you'd only ask about one cryptid.
The lieutenant pauses, thoughtfully.
Ah, fuck it. Let's have more cryptids.
Well, the smallest cryptid is the Cryobacter catlensis, a unicellular bacterium. It was discovered in one of the northernmost points of Katla on the Boreal Plateau by renowned geologist Caitlin Mijanou some 70 years ago. The bacterial colony Mijanou found had remained alive while frozen in ice for longer than anyone could reliably estimate, certainly from before recorded history. Mijanou disappeared shortly after injecting herself with the bacteria she had brought back to study, no doubt in hopes of prolonging her own life. Yes, the bacteria had survived in the ice since times immemorial. It is not hard to see where she could have gotten the idea.
It's actually a little hard to see. But do go on.
Yes, and she's quite mad, too. After she treated herself with the bacteria, she stopped aging, but also became increasingly eccentric and irascible, so that even her oldest friends were forced to pull away. We can assume that she has been living somewhere in the wilderness for decades now, all alone except for the Cryobacter catlensis coursing through her bloodstream. The gnome of Jeroma. Oh, it is. None of his victims survived. Grieving relatives never even found their bodies because the gnome's venom dissolved organic tissue. It was reportedly a small creature with webbed fingers and a protruding forehead and a ungainly little thing, quite scary to look at. A couple of campers found it when it was already dying. They heard an odd wailing in the woods and followed the sound. They were scared and wrapped it in tarpaulin to suffocate it. It still took the gnome of Jeroma an entire day to die.
If the body of the creature was found, why aren't there detailed illustrations of it in science textbooks, confirming the existence of these very little species?
Alas, the first scientist who got his hands on the creature's corpse put it in a jar of formaldehyde, thinking that would detoxify the gnome's venom. Instead, all the venom leaked out of the creature's teeth and into the surrounding liquid, dissolving the creature itself. A poetic end, perhaps, but a real loss for science.
Alas, always alas, and then it was gone. Isn't that overly convenient?
I understand your skepticism, but that's what happens with things that are rare and stand out. Their disappearance is most memorable, and they are least likely to be found again. Yes, it's the kind green ape, half war story, half undiscovered species in the genus Homo. Yes, it was reported by soldiers in South Safra during the war. The kind green ape would visit bunkers during the night, healing wounded soldiers with its saliva. Yes, it has amazing healing qualities. Some soldiers reported growing back limbs, regaining their sight. Indeed, there is. It's our closest relative among the cryptids. Same taxonomic family, different genus. Which is to say, the kind green ape is a species with which we share a common ancestor, and that evolved parallel to our own. Just like your partners.
The lieutenant looks at you, pleasantly surprised.
Oh, no, I didn't mean to imply that Saolites are inferior to us in many ways. You are superior. For example, your earwax doesn't have a foul odor like ours does.
A tremendous evolutionary advantage, I'm sure. But perhaps we've had enough speculative biology for today?
What an interesting question. And the answer is yes, there are.
Of course. All fairy tales have someone or something invisible in them.
It's the Col de Mamadaqua. Its name means thin whisper of sound, and that's precisely what it is. Self-replicating sound waves, invisible and intangible. The Col de Mama is very afraid of us, which makes it incredibly difficult to track.
Col de Mamadaqua can also be translated as a whisper light and low.
Plenty. It's the evidence that led to its discovery. In the 20s, a group of Areopagi ornithologists, that is, scientists who study birds, were trying out a new recording technology for capturing sounds outside the range of human hearing. When playing back recordings they had made in the foothills of the Ea mountain range, they noticed certain anomalies, patterns that seemed random at first, but on closer examination were consistent with the waveforms of songbirds. The scientists soon discovered they could track and even predict what appeared to be feeding, mating, and migration patterns based on sound waves in a strictly delimited range of ultrasonic frequencies, even higher than those of the highest pitched bat calls. They realized that they had discovered a new species and called it the Coldemamadaqua, after the Paracanassian name for the voice of God, which is said to be very silent. They grew quite obsessed with these little birds. Even though they couldn't see them, they could distinguish among individual birds and even began to name some of them. Sequester, Time, Joscan, those are but some of the Mamadaqua they followed individually. Yes, that's another translation. They're both quite lovely, aren't they? Although the low part is a little ironic. The Coldemamadaqua makes, or rather is, such a high-pitched sound that other animals, including humans, can't hear it. It could be everywhere all of the time, and we wouldn't know.
Fine, I'll bite. How can an animal be a sound?
Many scientists have asked the same question. Some have claimed that it isn't itself a sound, but a tiny corpuscle that emits sound waves. But there's no evidence to support this theory. It could be. As I said, it could be everywhere. And we wouldn't know any better. It could be ringing all the days of our lives and nights. That is a sad story. A group of university students assisting with the field work in their enthusiasm for the project, and no doubt because they were preoccupied with impressing their professors, nearly drove it to extinction. They tried to communicate with it and had no other means but sound. So they started sending out sound waves at frequencies they thought might match the Mamadaquas. And what happens when a sound wave meets another sound wave of the same frequency, dear?
Psst. They cancel each other out. Psst.
Exactly. And these tests were performed so recklessly that when they happened upon the right frequency, well, they wiped out most of the population. After that, the corpuscle appears to have migrated elsewhere. There have been recordings of anomalies similar to those spotted in Ea, but they've been few and far between. It's impossible to confirm the presence of any stable Coldemamadaqua population anywhere.
Of course. A common thread in these. Disappearance and unfalsifiability. I like the story, though, ma'am.
I'm glad you did, dear. What about what? I'm glad you like them, but I'm not really one to tell you about all of them. You should ask my husband if you get the chance. He's the real expert.
Yes?
The worn and beaten wooden planks of the bench do not look overly comforting.
We can sit on benches after we've solved the murder.
You can revisit the bench if you ever need to pass the time when Lieutenant Kitsuragi is gone.
A lorry stuck in the traffic jam. The windows are clear. They've been recently washed. You can see fumes of heavy fuel oil waft over you, making your eyes sting. The odor. An old monument stands in the middle of the traffic island, pointing toward the sea. It looks as if it's something with great kinetic energy seems to have impacted the Kurak. Someone shot him in the heart. The monument stands high above. Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge. The white suede feels luxurious under the touch, and the metal clutch handle so very familiar in your palm. Your fingers waste no time closing around the handle. Clutch disengaged. Release the handle. Clutch drops. Right foot yearns for the familiar touch of the accelerator pedal. You have synced with the machine's mechanical circulation. The smell of freshly treated leather. The lack of dirt and dust on the dashboard. I'm good, cherished and cared for, in the hands of a tending owner, at the bottom of the sea. So strange. The machine is not on the bottom of the sea at all. It's right in front of you, well kept. Why did it say that? You feel an uninterrupted connection to the mechanics. Of course it's only in your... The handle is put in the cabin. You see a set of steering levers, a radio. As you tap on the gauge, the indicator pin jerks as if startled. It's in the small...
No, that's enough fun with the foldable headlights. I know they are mesmerizing. They're also fragile. I'm not going to turn it on for you again.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you? Just a second, officer. Sylvie Malaika on the line for you, officer. Yes, hello? Oh, great. What else do you need, detective? Yes, I know who you are. You're a police officer. The law.
This exact conversation has happened before. Establishing authority before this young girl seems to have been important to you in the past. Don't go there again.
You told me back in the whirling. You told everybody, and so does your badge. I don't need to hear about it anymore. Oh, no, I haven't, sorry.
Real policemen have uniforms too, by the way. Where's yours? Yes, you absolutely should. It's awful that you lost it. You hear the call breaking up on the other...
Anything else I can help you with, officer? No, and I doubt they'll get back to me before tomorrow morning. Anything else? Just a moment, officer.
10-4, come in, officer. Over. Okay, 10-4, sir. I hear you. Relay your question. Over.
Wait, before you say anything stupid, think it through. You're going to be looking at a straitjacket if you tell everyone you lost your memory. Be smart about this. Ask if he's there alone.
10-4, sir. I'm not hearing your question. That's a negative, sir. I got a 10-12. Visitors present here. Over. Well, that's,
Does he actually want something, or is he hell-bent on disrupting our work?
He asked if he ever told me about his days before joining the RCN.
For God's sake, cut this shit out! Tell him to stop wasting time and be a goddamn policeman for a change.
Sir, Satellite Officer Vicmar says... So, was there anything else? 10... Excuse me, sir. Over. No, sir, I haven't. You're not really keen on mentioning your home life, so I've always assumed things weren't that good on that front. Over. Ten-9, repeat message. I didn't get that, sir. Over. Sir, I will not have you talk to me in this manner. Over.
What? What is it? What can he possibly still want from us?
He seems intoxicated and keeps asking me to call him by his name.
Mullen's drunk and emotionally aggressive. That's new.
Wrap it up. Don't indulge in his drunken antics.
10-4. Your address?
Hold up, Jules. He doesn't fucking know where he lives? Did I hear that right?
Seems like it, sir.
No, fuck him. Don't tell him anything. You understand? He's been hellbound for the gutter. Let him have it.
Sorry, sir. Anything more I can do for you? Over.
What? What is it? He's still on the line?
He wants to verify the information on his badge.
But of course, it says Dick Mullen, High General of the Revacholian Cavalry Force.
Tell him to stop wasting time.
What do you need, sir? Over. Understood, sir. Over. Roger that. 10-10. Over and out.
Can I help you? Another thing. Great. I love those. Yes? Got the 20 real? Good. You got the room for the night, but remember, you'll need another 20 real tomorrow. Can I help you? You're already set for the night. Your door is unlocked.
I've got nothing to say to you. Why are you wasting your time? I am not.
You could be, Liz. You could be anything. You could even be a model.
Even a mod? Glenn, I went to law school. I am an attorney.
He's right. With a face like that, she could be on the cover of Le Debutante International. The cold look in her eyes speaks louder than words. She is not amused. It's not her. She's not a hardy girl. Definitely.
Looks like the circus left town, but the clowns are still here. Again, just get the dead guy's autograph, since you're his biggest fan.
Good one, Titus.
You don't have to keep answering his questions.
I know, Lizzie. Relax. We killed him last Sunday night. Seemed like a good way to end the...
Known him? We don't associate with scum like that.
Yeah! Who do you...
Quiet. He came around...
By the Pine's cow, you mean Joyce Messier?
No. I mean the Pines cow. The stupid-ass cow they sent in to fuck us over. But you know what? Why don't you ask her about the...
That's enough insinuation for today.
About fucking time.
Kuno care? Kuno doesn't fucking care.
Hello, hello. Let me know if I can help you with anything. Sure, let me have a look. Oh, no. I don't like those kinds of objects. No sale. A photic path, counter-radiance networks, anti-magnetism. It's darkness. That's all I know. Sell me something lighter.
You have absolutely no idea what aphotic paths are, but the tattoos on the man are not that.
Anything else you're thinking of selling? I'm not purchasing any more clothing at the moment. Another time, perhaps. Sure thing. My apologies, officer, but I have no idea where she was coming from.
A needle in a haystack. There is nothing you can do about it now. You'll just have to hope you luck upon her somehow.
Sure, man. I doubt it, but I can try and answer any questions you may have. He's been by the shop a couple of times.
There was something awfully deliberate about that laziness.
He purchased a remarkably garish paperweight the first time he was here. Nothing the second. He tried, wanted to come to some mutually beneficial agreement around my dealings with the dock workers. I politely declined to hear him out.
So you don't know what kind of arrangements he was talking about?
As I said, I refused to talk to him. That's why he came back a second time. That's also why he hasn't come back a third. They weren't the most pleasant interactions. Small-town bigwigs always want everyone to play a part in the play they're staging. But I bowed out at some point. I prefer to watch from afar while the bigwigs come and go. It was all very strange. That forewoman was More pleasant than Evrard. But I guess it's all the same in the end.
He nods reluctantly. The pawnbroker's gaze is already fixed on the dancing colors.
Of course. It's in working order still, isn't it? Just pick your tape and set it spinning. It all starts with the tape. I doubt it, but I can try. I do my best to keep my distance from all manner of butchery.
He doesn't know anything. The pawnbroker's gaze is already fixed on the dancing colors.
Everything's still cool here, officer. Me? It's a boring story, officer. Who cares about the past? I'm all business now. All Revachol.
This man probably comes from Seaguy, sometimes known as the Apricot Suzerainty, an archipelago in the Samaran Isola.
Very sharp, officer. I'm Serais, from the Seaguy province of the Serais Empire. The Apricot Suzerainty, you know?
Apricot Suzerainty calls to mind an era when the Seaguy archipelago was colonized by Revachol. It's a bit of a slur, in other words.
The Apricot Suzerainty is what the Seaguy archipelago is commonly known as in Revachol. It's a bit of a fraught term, I'm sure you understand.
No, apricots come from Seaguy. My grandma used to grow them. But Seaguy is a shithole. That's why I came to Revachol. Here's much better for an independent entrepreneur. Less laws. Speaking of, why not support an independent local entrepreneur? I send half my profits back to my grandma in Seaguy.
This coin-operated viewer is facing south.
Gendarmerie, you found me.
His slender figure is backlit by city lights, its distant streets and motorways flashing like diamonds.
It was mine. My friends use it from time to time to visit me. So tell me, are you here to make things right again? Then I have some good news for you. My Sunday friend is visiting me tonight. I told him about you and he'd like to say hello. Step in. He's already waiting. Mm-hmm. That's why I chose this place. Martinez is special, isn't it?
Wait. Suddenly you are digging things?
Trust me, you do. That's nice, but I don't have anything to tell you. It's my friend you're looking for, not me.
He takes another drag of his unfiltered cigarette and looks around. It's getting dark and the neighboring windows have lit up, one by one. Downstairs, a cat crosses the yard, disappearing into the bush.
Besides, I've got to run.
Something tells you you're never going to talk to an individual this cool or mysterious ever again.
To the city. It's a beautiful night.
Something flutters in the corner of the lieutenant's mouth as you're saying those words.
We'll talk. Just not tonight. Take care, all right?
And he's gone again. Looks like it's becoming a theme for him.
Who knows, detective? It's a mystery. Different, of course. His shirt. His shirt.
He's trying to dive deep into the mysteries of his shirt.
His shirt? No, I don't know why his shirt is always unbuttoned.
He's barely holding it together. It's all he can do to keep from bursting out in laughter.
Come on, detective, let's go. We've got a potential witness to interview. His Sunday friend, remember?
Officers of the Revachol Citizens Militia.
His hands are clean and well manicured. This is a man who knows the importance of appearances.
My name is Charles Vildrouin, and I am an official with the coalition government. I work for the Institute of Price Stabilité on assignment from Sur-la-Clé. I heard you talking to my friend outside. Very good. Super. I am here to assist you in any way possible. Ask me about the hanging.
Hanging? What a drag. He seems like a cultured gentleman. You should ask him about the finer things.
Oh yes, my friend has a great eye for these things. He refuses to tell me where it came from. It's a mystery. I believe they call this type of frame industrial. It's very comfy. That's really all I can tell you about it.
The lieutenant takes out his notebook and nods to you to proceed.
I'm sorry to say I did, officer. Officer, it's very difficult to describe what I saw that night. It was so surreal to me, like in a play.
He holds out his hands and blossoms his fingers, like a drama teacher setting the scene.
What do you mean, like in a play?
It was just so strange. I could barely comprehend what was happening. I was on the balcony when it happened, getting some fresh air. I remember that first they came in, carrying what looked like a body. And then I saw all the surrounding windows go dead, one by one. That's when I understood. I should not be seeing this.
Sounds like the victim was unconscious, or at least incapacitated. Well done, detective.
I couldn't tell you exactly. Less than 10. Maybe 8?
The lieutenant sends you a sharp look at the mention of that number.
That's a giant you're describing. No, they were all quite human, as far as I could tell. I went back inside.
Were you able to see anything from inside?
Officer, the yard was pitch black. There was nothing to see, but I could still hear their voices. They were threatening to kill that poor man. All men, I presume. But again, I couldn't see very clearly. I believe they were mostly white, though I believe I saw 2 Areopagites among them. And I am quite certain that one spoke with a Mesk accent. Well, that's the strangest part, officer. Nothing happened. It was oddly quiet for a public lynching. Eventually, their shouts died down, and that was all. There were no gunshots, no celebratory shouts, no anything. You're right, of course. That is what one is supposed to do in such circumstances. I was simply in shock. I'm afraid I don't have anything else to add.
About what time was all this happening, approximately?
All I can say is that it was late. No, I didn't see the corpse until the following day. Of course, anything I can do to assist the RCM. The coalition is only looking out for the price stability. Inflation is a killer, like a heart disease blocking the normal circulation of the economy. It must be controlled. The economy impacts the entire international community, which is why it requires international oversight. Well, I'm renovating it. It is an interesting project. The building used to be a 12-story skyscraper before the cannons took the top 4 stories off. This, of course, happened when the coalition forces landed here. You could say I'm undoing some of the material damage the international community caused when we arrived here. Yes, as I said before, I am a commissioner from Sur-la-Clé working for the Institute of Price Stability. This is one of the main projects of the Moral Inter.
Wait, there isn't actually an Institute of Price Stability, is there? Or maybe there is. God, it's impossible to understand whether someone from the Moral Intern is joking or not.
La Communauté Internationale is what Revacholians colloquially call the Coalition. In other words, the nations that stopped the disaster of the revolution. What's there to say? Sur-la-Clé is a modern, urbanized country that measures very high on the Human Development and Freedom Index. Mostly, though, it's known as the executive heart of EPIS. Moreover, it is a great sponsor of less emerged countries. Revachol is only one of its many darlings whose progress it supports and cherishes.
Darlings? That can't be an official designation.
Because a great percentage of Revachol's culture hails from Sur-la-Clé. Its language, its people, its cuisine even. Or at least in the downtown La Delta area.
Jamrock and other parts of the international zone have been mercifully spared of Sur-la-Clé's love for meatballs and mashed potatoes.
It is the most important thing. It's the central goal of any sound monetary policy. Maintaining the price stability is essential to maintaining high levels of economic activity, which is essential for maintaining high levels of employment, which is essential for maintaining the social stability.
Basically, it makes sure the price of bread doesn't change.
Précisément. Too much inflation, bread becomes too expensive. Too much deflation, it becomes too cheap for bakers to produce. That's why the Institute of Price Stability works to keep inflation just below 2%. But not too far below, no. Too below is also bad. Below, but close to 2%. The Coalition believes in the importance of informing the public about the benefits of the price stability. Transparency is one of our principles. Would you like an informational pamphlet? A sound monetary policy is essential for addressing uncertainty. Stability is the raison d'être of the Moral Inter. It's the reason why I identify as a moralist. But oh, I don't have my leaflets on me today. That's too bad. You can always call our information line. Making information available is part of the Moral Intern's commitment to transparency. It's the International Organization for Moralists, hence Moralist International. The Institute of Price Stability is just one of its many mind babies, as is the Coalition.
There are more nefarious powers to work for than the moral intern.
But of course. Well, do you value freedom? Do you believe in a normal, stable world governed by democratic values?
Me?
You've managed to catch the lieutenant off guard, but only for a moment.
I'm a lieutenant of the RCM, dedicated to maintaining law and order in Ravachol.
A very moralist answer. The Occident is part of the normal world. Oranje, Sur la Clé... Martinez? No. Martinez is something else. Rivachol is generally difficult. It's led by an interim government, which means it hasn't yet achieved full democracy. But they are working towards it. You're all doing very well here, relatively speaking. Is this option D usually the most reasonable answer? Sounds like you're a moralist indeed, my friend. Welcome. Moralism is all about compromise and achieving the achievable. It's pragmatic, realistic, and level-headed, an ideology for doers. Are you a doer, my friend? It looks to me like you are. Now, enough of this delightful political interlude. Was there anything else you wanted to ask? Oranje is an exemplary nation who, as a core member of APIS, contributes 28% of our annual budget. Next to Sur la Clé, Oranje is probably the most prominent member of the international community. As founding members, they are both very EPIS. Oranje carries a lot of political weight, while Sur la Clé takes care of the business side of things. Sur la Clé hosts the headquarters of the major EPIS institutions. Oranje's economy is one of the most advanced in the world. It has successfully transitioned from heavy industry to advanced services and generally acts as an engine for sustainable change in the international community.
But that didn't tell you anything about Oranje.
About what? Oh, it's very urban and very well organized. Their streets are clean, their horse cars run on time, the people are polite and efficient. Like I said, they are an example for less emerged nations to follow. Whatever you wish, officer. Ah, my friend. My friend is a good young man. His family immigrated here from Kedra, and life has not been easy for him. But he understands the importance of education. He has taken his future into his own hands, and that's all that matters. Kedra is a candidate member of APIS. But, between you and me, their potential membership is a more contentious issue. That it's never going to happen. They entered negotiations in 21, and it's been pending ever since. EPIS is a very special program developed by the Moral Intern to support certain Occidental nations. It began as a unified system of weights and measures, which proved to be a wild success. Nothing but kilograms and centimeters as far as the eye can see.
God, yes. Sweet standardization. The backbone of rationality and commerce.
It was such a wild success that we expanded it into an economic union for the processing of steel. Another success. And between you and me, the Moral Intern feels emboldened by this success. Emboldened to take EPIS to the next level. A supranational political alliance. The United States of Occident. You mean Revachol? No, it's going to have transparent democracy. It's one day going to be a candidate member of EPIS, sure.
Except that candidate members never become full members, do they?
No, candidate members do become members. Why do we even have the whole system in place if they don't? It just takes time. Time and evaluation. But we were talking about my friend here, not politics. Sorry, who? But I told you, officer, he's a bright young man here to pursue his education. Education is the foundation of our future, especially the arts. It is a cornerstone of our civilization. Officer, you have to understand. I can't give you his personal information. I'm sure you have your own methods and databases, right? Please don't put me in this situation. He's deeply enmeshed in the study of the fine arts, yes. He's a truly free spirit. He likes all the arts. Perhaps graphic design, printmaking, who knows? The world is open wide for a talented youth like him. How did any of us become friends? Bad things happening on the Insulindian Peninsula? Oil platforms ablaze in the night? Civil wars lasting for years? Finally, the international community is forced to step in. Au contraire, it's how millions of people end up where they are, meeting the people they meet. It's how I came here, and my friend too. I'm just enjoying the view. We're old friends. Nothing's taboo between us. He comes and goes. I'm sure you'll see him around. He's very active. I'm all ears, officer. I'm sorry to say I did, officer.
Easy, detective. No need to jump to conclusions.
Officer, it's very difficult to describe what I...
He holds out.
What do you mean, like in a play?
It was just so... I was on the balcony. That's when I understood.
Sounds like the victim was unconscious, or at least incapacitated.
I couldn't see their faces well, and there were quite a few of them. But they were very loud and very... Martinez. Let's just say that the laboring classes can get rather expressive with their profanities. I went back inside.
Were you able to see anything from inside?
Officer, the yard was pitch black. There was nothing to see, but I could still hear their voices. They were threatening to kill that poor man. Well, that's the strangest part, officer. Nothing happened. It was oddly quiet for a public lynching. Eventually, their shouts died down, and that was all. There were no gunshots, no celebratory shouts, no anything. I'm afraid I don't have anything else to add.
About what time was all this happening, approximately?
All I can say is that it was late. My watch. Yes, now I remember. It was 30 minutes past midnight. give or take. No, I didn't see the corpse until the following day.
It seems this wasn't the break you were hoping for. I think we have everything we need. Thank you for talking to us, Mr. Villedroit.
Of course, anything I can do to assist the RCM. A moment, officer. Do you have everything you need from me? I'm afraid we won't have the chance to speak again once you leave. It's against diplomatic best practices for an official in my position to be discussing murders with local militiamen. And I'm pressed for time. After you leave, I should be leaving as well.
That's not the real reason he's so apprehensive. Men in his position shouldn't be seen loitering around in underprivileged young men's apartments in the middle of the night.
Of course. I'm sorry I couldn't be the break you were looking for. Good luck with the investigation.
bed is still cold from the broken window, and not too inviting, but it's yours. You've earned it. The bed is still cold from the wind blowing in from the broken window. The mattress creaks as you close your eyes and try your hardest to fall asleep.
Here we are again, my broken bud. The waves are coming, carrying you away. But you can't go. No, you have to stay. Always half aware of yourself. You're not cooperating, brother man. It's your disgusting body. Even through your sleep, you feel a vague discomfort suffusing it. Your belly and your sides are unpleasantly tender. You wish you could curl up into a fetal ball of safety. But you cannot, because of the pain.
That pain in your right side is your enlarged liver, by the way. As for your kidneys, you've really been compounding the damage lately. But this suffering, it must have some kind of meaning. A story that will come out of it. Perhaps even a story that you will write yourself.
There's no dignity here. Only reflections of your body mass. Flashes of the day. You keep coming back to yourself in the mirror. But why? To admire all your accomplishments? You're just stuck here, in the half-world. Could try looking at other people. Really looking. But why would you want to start doing that? Sure you do. They're all so friendly, aren't they?
At least they're interesting. Each one has a process just like yours, running in the space between their ears, full of secrets. People are beautiful, statuesque, parodies and tragedies of themselves. A great democracy of creatures.
What do you think you're doing right now? Coming to some greater awareness? Look at all these lights, blinking in and out of existence. Thoughts! You're just pretending that you're asleep, even to yourself, while the world goes on without you.
Let it. Let it.
But it never seems to let you go, does it? Time to rise and wipe that shining sweat off as best you can. Gather your bearings. Rock and roll.
Put on your prettiest face for the masses.